Okay guys, welcome back to this tutorial. Today we're going to be learning how to replace a sprite image from that's in your project. We're going to learn how to replace that with an image that you pull down from the internet using a URL. So let's go ahead and do that. It should be fairly simple. It should only take about 5 minutes. So let's jump straight into Unity here and let's start. So all I have here is a blank project. Haven't done anything to it yet. So first of all, let's go and change this to our streaming setup, just like this, to get our usual layout. So now let us go and start this. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to obviously create a new 2D object. Let's go for a UI image. So let's create a new image, and that's going to be on our canvas, obviously. So we can drag that in the middle. Let's go and reset that so it pops in the middle. We'll just make this 500 by 500, just so that it's quite big, so we can see it in the game. And then what we want to do is we need to attach a script onto this. So let's go click on our image. And then we can go add component and say image loader, like that. So we'll create that new script. While that loads, I don't know if that's going to open it, but let's go and first of all, let's go and see if we can find, not that, let's do this. Let's see if we can find a new the picture that we want to use. So let's go and say cool images. Let's use, I don't know, any random one. We'll use this one for now. So we'll copy the image address. I think that's fine. Let's just test that. Okay, cool. Where to go? So let's go and open this. We'll open that up, and then we can start programming, bringing our image into the game. Let's see. Cool. So while this opens, let's try and figure out where the music's gone. Okay, it's just song change. Okay, so this is opening. So now let's go. We're probably not going to need our start method. Actually, we'll need our start method, not our update method. So we can get rid of that. We'll leave that there for now because we'll probably need that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make a reference to our link. So let's create a private string. We'll call this link, and we'll make this equal to the link that I just pulled. Well, I just got a random picture from Google Images, so we'll save that like that. Private string link is equal. Link, we'll try something else. Image link, is that fine? No, why is that not working? Is equal to that. Save that. Okay, we'll see if that works later. But for now, let's go and start making our method that will pull down the image from the internet. So in here, we want to create a new method. Let's go and say private void, because it's not going to return anything. Let's say load image, like that. And then in here, the first thing we want to do is we want to create a request. So we're going to be using the Unity web request for this. So let's go and type in Unity web. We need to import it, I think. So we need to import our networking. So let's go and say paste that in there. Hopefully that'll give us access to the Unity web request, which it does. So Unity web request, and we'll call this request, just like that. And then let's say is equal to new Unity web request texture, because we're gonna create a new web request texture, and then we want to say in here, I think it's data. What is it? Data. No, not data. Download handler, like that. And then we want to outside the bracket we'll type in request dot download handler, and then on that we want to get the texture. Where is it? Handler dot texture, like that. Did I miss out a bracket? Hold on. Let's try this again, because clearly I messed that up. So what do we need? A Unity, Unity web request. We'll name this request. Hopefully you get this right in the second attempt. Unity web request. Is that request? Yeah. Can't see it highlighted, but yeah, it is. Is equal to Unity web request texture, like that. Dot get texture. There we go. So just dot get texture before we do all of what we just did. So we'll go get texture, and then in here we want to use the URL. So that's this over here. So we can in here we'll say string. Forgot the R string link, like that, and then we will pass that into our get texture, just so that we make it so that we could pass any link through when we call the function in our start method, instead of changing the link over here all the time. So let's go and do that, and then what we want to do is we want to say yield return return the request dot send web request. So why have we got an error here? So the body of image loader cannot be iterator block because void is not an iterator. Okay, so we need to change this to I think it's enumerator, so that we can call it through a start coroutine in our start method. So we'll do that. We'll save that just to get the errors go. So let's do, first of all let's call this and see what happens. So in our start method, if we go and say start, let's try that again, start coroutine, and then in here we will call the load image, and then we simply want to pass in our image link in as a parameter, so like that. So now we've got no errors. So now what we need to do is we need to check if there is an error when we make this request, and if there is an error we're going to debug it and log it into our console so that we can see what's happening. And if obviously if there's no error, we want to go and set the sprite of the image that we added over here. We want to go and change the image here. We want to go and change the image of our image to the image that we load from this, or this image here from this link. So to do that, let's go and create an if statement. So let's say if request dot is network error, or or the request dot is error, I think it is HTTP error, like that. So if there is an error, let's go and debug it. Debug.log request.error, so that if there is an error when loading in the image from the link, we are going to go and debug that, or we're going to go and log the error in our console. So let's go and see if this works. Or else, let's say else debug.log no error, like that. So if there's an error, we'll get the error logged, and if there's no error, we will get no error logged. So let's go and save that. We can go back to the Unity editor here, and we can see if we press play what happens. Hopefully we don't get that error. So we don't get that error, so that's good. So we are fetching. We are using that link to go make a request, so that's perfect. So let's go out of gameplay here, and we'll go back in here to our code here, and instead of logging the no error message, we want to in here go and set the image from this link to our actual image in our game. So to do that, we need to create a new texture. So let's go and say texture with X, texture, where's texture? Texture 2D, because obviously it's a 2D game. And then let's call this my texture. You can call it whatever you want, but we'll call it my texture for this game. And we'll set this equal to so this is where we wanted to do what I did before. So we're going to download handler texture, because it is a texture. We got rid of the bracket. So download handler texture request dot download handler what is it, dot texture. So we want to get the texture off of that, semicolon to end it off, and then we need to create a new sprite for the image. So let's go and say sprite, new sprite is equal to sprite dot create, and then in here we want to give it the new texture, so my texture, and then we also want to create a rectangle for this. So let's go and say new rectangle, or rect, and then in here we want to give it a, what is it, a 0 by x on x 0 and y 0, and then height is going to be, or width first is going to be my texture dot width, and then same as height, so it's going to be my texture dot height, like that. And then I think we also need to create, what is it, so out of the bracket we also need to create a vector 2. So here let's say new vector 2, got a fly flying around. So in here we're going to create a new vector 2, and we're going to set the x and y values to be 0.5 f by the same thing, 0.5 f, like that, and we'll close that off with a bracket and semicolon, like that. And then I think the only thing that's left is to go and assign our current image this new sprite. So let's go back to the editor here, and actually we need to do this in the code first. So in our code at the very top we want to go and create a serialized field, so we can drag and drop in our image. So let's go and say serialized field private image. We need to import our UI, so let's go and say dot UI. So this is going to be an image, and we'll call this our image, something simple like that. So if we save that and we jump back into the Unity editor here, we should now be able to drag in this image that we just created into the script. So there it is, so we can go ahead and drag that into the reference there on our script. And now we want to go back to our code, and in here we want to go and say image dot sprite is equal to our new sprite, and don't forget to add in the semicolon, like that. So that should be fine. Hopefully that loads our new image. So we'll save that. We'll jump back into Unity here, and when we play this game, well, not the game, but when we run this code, this image should be replaced with the image I chose. So let's go and play this and see if the image gets replaced. So instead of a white block, you should see an image. So there you go. So that is how you create a script that loads in an image from the internet. Very simple and very quick. So if that was helpful to you, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to like the videos that you watch. I appreciate it a lot. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye. I'll end this.